Hey, how's it going, everyone? Justin again. As always, thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. I hope you're enjoying your work week. Welcome back to tonight's second discussion topic, which is, are you being starved out of work? What does it mean to be starved out of work? And what should you do if you think that you're starved out of work? Let's talk about it. All right, so I've got a couple of thoughts behind this subject. This subject I kind of developed as I was watching Nick Nakai's one of his latest videos entitled The Pros and Cons of Working at a Dealership in 2022 or 2021, which he just uploaded a few days ago. So I'll put his channel link to that video down in the description for you guys. About 6 minutes-ish into the video, he talked about getting starved out of work and what that was like while he was working over at the dealership. So I kind of wanted to tell you some of the things that I've noticed throughout my career, be it whether at a dealership, an independent shop. Like I've worked at a few different dealerships earlier on, okay? And I work at one now, and I was at an independent shop, and I've been at a lube shop, so I kind of know this feeling. I've seen it myself. From viewer's standpoint, I've been a part of this at certain points. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those situations of how you can kind of tell. So like if you notice a trend, obviously for those of you that have been doing it for a while, they're a little bit more seasoned in the mechanic industry. You kind of got a good feeling. So let's say within the first 3 to 6 months, you kind of got a good feeling of where you fit into the grand scheme of things at the particular shop that you're at. And let's say you're kind of on a roll, and there's a couple other people that are there that are also mechanics that have been there a little bit longer. Kind of see that you've been on this roll, and to them, you're kind of starving them out of work because you're on a roll. They're kind of stuck with some other issues that are taking them a little while to try to diagnose or figure out, and all the while you're just like pumping out hours and making that shop money. Manager's going to be happy, obviously owner's going to be happy, right? Well, when it comes to dissemination of work, maybe there's a couple of riders that they're close buddy with, and they might be like, hey man, kind of getting the short end of the stick here. New kids kind of just banging them out left and right. Why don't you throw one of these problems at him and see how long it takes him to figure it out and feed me some of that? They may be like, yeah, no problem. They swap a few things around. Next thing you know, the guy that was banking and making all those hours, he's not banking and making all those hours anymore, and he's kind of coming on back down to level playing field with everybody else, right? And some of those guys that weren't doing too good might be making it back up to the at least level playing ground. So that's kind of one way where it could be like a dissemination of work to where that particular situation, those two are buddy, but it also could be a managerial decision too. They might decide, well, you know, if he's at like 150% and this other guy's at like 50%, when that other guy's usually at about 80%, maybe I can feed him some of this stuff from dude and take some of this stuff from dude and give it to him. And that kind of brings everybody kind of at a pretty good standpoint where everyone's happy, making kind of about the same. You might have some good weeks, you might have some bad weeks, but for the most part, they keep it fair. So that might be another way that your shop might be managing it. So there might be some times when you are having like the Tom Bradyest of seasons and you're just killing it, right? And then all of a sudden you just kind of fall off for a while and you're wondering what happened. Like you were making this much and now all of a sudden you're not, because you're not getting there. There could be a reason behind that. Okay, so that might be something to think about. It could also have something to do with what your knowledge base is. There was a particular dealership that I worked at once upon a time ago where I went to it knowing only really the heavy line side, engines, transmissions, things like that, things that I knew, things that I didn't always have to get too involved in the dealer book for because I knew how to take it apart and put it together. Only thing I needed really was torque specs, and I knew how to find those. They started trying to give me like interior headliner things and heater core things, and I don't know how to do none of that stuff. I was doing other recalls that were involved in the car. I didn't know how to do those either. And they had already let go of their foreman, and there was no one there that wanted to spend really the amount of time with me to kind of walk me through it. The guy that was kind of acting like a foreman, he from time to time would kind of show me and guide me on a couple things, but he didn't always have all the time either. And then they hired somebody else to dispatch the work. And this particular person was a little flirtatious with some of the other members that were particularly working at this shop. And I could see where she had favored certain people and were giving them, you know, the flushes or the used cars or the heavy line stuff. And then would stick me with some weird interior electrical thing that she knew I couldn't do because she figured out really quick where my comfortability was. And next thing you know, I would stand in front of my toolbox for like 2 hours, go to lunch, come back, and they say, you know, don't bother clocking in. We don't have anything for you, until I went home. So I left an establishment where I was making pretty good. I was supposed to make 2 times the amount to where it was that I decided to go to. And they basically starved me out where I was making half of what I was. And I had to travel twice as far. So that was my circumstance and situation behind getting kind of starved out of work. So, you know, there's a couple of situations like that. And then there's just other people that are just really, really hungry. Let's face it. There are those that are absolutely hungry, that are, you know what, they get hung up on a part. They have to wait for it to come in. They see an opportunity to go see what's going on. If there's something else they can jump on real quick, like a battery or you know, maybe they need to bust out that alignment. They could do that while they're waiting for parts to be delivered to them to get back to the main job that they're on. And they're just boom, boom, boom. Maybe they're pulling one in behind theirs and another one. Maybe they got 2 bays, plus they're working outside. Some lube guys are just like, I don't know how to get into the stall. And it's like, dude, most of us are doing it outside too. We're working outside and inside because that's just what you got to do sometimes. You can't always like bring the car, and there's not always everyone there to push it in either. So it's like you might have to go out there and figure out how to jump start the car, figure out if it's a fuse or if it's a battery or something like that. So you kind of got to take some of the blame as far as like not being hungry enough too. So it's not like you're always getting starved out. Sometimes you're just not hungry enough to keep up with it. And this happens to some of the older techs too. Because as the time grows and you've been there longer and longer, yes, older techs kind of get that like I'm satisfied feeling, you know, not as hungry. Like, well, I'd rather take a little time to learn a little bit more about this one thing instead of just trying to like maximize and like, you know, get my entire filling and then some, you know. I don't need to go to Sizzler and eat an all-you-can-eat buffet plus a dessert. Maybe I'm happy with just getting that one meal that I ordered plus a dessert, and that's satisfying enough. Some guys are never satisfied, and they're hungry all the time. And sometimes you just kind of get stuck too. Sometimes you get a car that just absolutely kicks your butt, and there's no way around it, and you can lose your butt, so you can almost starve yourself out of work too. And it's not even like your fault all the time. Sometimes it is the car. Sometimes it is waiting on parts. And then there's just some times where you're just burnt out and need a break. And maybe that's the time where you take vacation. I have vacation time coming up here within the next couple of, I think, month or two. And I plan on taking about a work week off. Just to kind of like completely unwind for the year. I think you need to do that. I think as a mechanic that's working, you know, 365, if you've accrued enough vacation time, take your vacation. Just trust me, even if it's a staycation. Take that staycation, relax, unwind. Don't think about cars. Unless you like working on your own stuff and that relaxes you, that's one thing. But if you're just feeling a little burnt out, rather than give up hope, I would just tell you, take that little vacation, take that week off to just either, you know, be with your kids, go do something with the family, or maybe you just sit back and binge watch your favorite movie series or something like that. But take the vacation. That way you don't get burnt out. That way you can come back recharged. But all right, guys, look, that's my 2 cents on whether or not you're getting starved out of work, some of the different circumstances or situations that I've been in at other shops that others have been in, that Nick Nikai from Let's Drift Media decided to bring up. I thought it was a great topic. Share with me your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And if you're a YouTube content creator and your focus is also tools and automotive, please feel free to do a video and share your thoughts on what it's like or what you believe starved out of work is. Let me know. Appreciate you. Cheers. Hashtag Justin Dow. Hashtag starving mechanic. Let's do it. Let's get these videos rolling. We'll see you guys. Deuces.